everyone. Welcome back to Telling Tall Tales the Right Way. I am your host, Heather Asiambi. I am a journalist, an editor, a writer. Sometimes I was a content marketer, PR professional, and just general storyteller and somebody who really, really loves stories. All right. Today. Okay. So first of all, I have to preface this with, this had a book cover on it, but when my granddaughter was small, she didn't realize that you don't touch grandma's books and rip the covers off. And so I don't have a cover for it, but this is Children of Blood and Bone. So here we are, by Adeyemi. So this is the first of the series. I did not. So full disclosure, I didn't read the rest of the series, mostly because I'm not big on series, like series. I don't know. I used to be good on series. Now I'm not good on series. Side note that I guess doesn't really matter, but here we are. Okay, this first book is called Reaper. So we're going to talk about Children of Blood and Bone and how the elements of every great story are either carried out in this book or not. So that's what we're going to do. So, okay. So characters. I had to make notes, you guys, because there's a few characters here, and I just want to make sure we get them all correct. So the characters are Zélie, I don't think I'm saying her name right, Zélie Adebola, Amari, Inan, Tzain, and King Tzain. Those are the primary characters. Zélie is a diviner, which is a magi, so she's magic. Amari is the king's daughter. Inan is the crown prince, and Tzain is Zélie's brother. When we are dropped into their lives, a lot has actually happened in their world prior to us intruding on their existence and bearing witness to what's going to happen in their lives going forward. So this is a fictional land in West Africa that is roughly, well, I wouldn't even say roughly, modeled on villages and culture from Nigeria. The author is a Nigerian woman. And it takes place in an area called Orísha. Now, if anybody is familiar, Orísha are really a pantheon of traditional spirits, gods, and goddesses from West Africa in the Nigeria area. I say area because, countries in Africa were just kind of like willy-nilly drawn, like, right? All these white folks from the Western powers got together and they were like, we're going to draw a line around this and call it Nigeria. Then we're going to draw a line around this and that's Cote d'Ivoire. And then we're going to draw a line around here and that's Ghana, right? Like that's what they did. They carved up this land and created these countries based on nothing other than their own colonialist whims and wants, and raped and pillaged the continent for centuries, which is still going on today. Okay, that's a political rant. That is not this show. Anywho, what has happened is that magic has largely vanished from the land. And so how did that happen? So years and years ago, before the story opens, the magi, people with magic, there was an uprising against those who didn't have magic. And during this uprising, the queen, King Tzain's wife, and Amari and Inan's mother was killed. That's not actually explicitly said, but we kind of derive this from the narrative. After that, King Tzain hated magic, hated anything to do with magic. And here's another reason why the queen's death is important, is because she was also magi. Now, she was considered a reaper, which means she could commune with and have some control over the dead and spirits. Okay. Zélie is not a reaper. She's a diviner. Anyway, okay, let me get back to the I am all mixed up because this book is very intricate and I want to make sure I'm doing it justice. So where this land takes place. So the characters, they do have very definitive character arcs, right? I'm just trying to give you the background of them. Inan is the crown prince. Now, he suffers from, I would say, pretty typical firstborn son kind of things in when it comes to like fantasy or even historical stories, where he really wants to make his father proud. At the same time, he really kind of hates his dad, right? Because his dad is a tyrant. Frankly, he is a tyrant. And his sister, Amari, because her mother died when she was so young, she didn't grow up with a maternal figure, and her dad was very controlling and very stern, and just kind of hated all of that. But then when one of her friends, she sees her father kill her friend, who also happens to be discovered she's magic. Her father kills her friend, and Amari's like, oh yeah, I'm out of here. So she runs away. And this is how Zélie and Amari come to be in each other's worlds. Inan then starts, he's got to find Amari. And then when his magic starts to kind of take root, that's where we see his character arc really, really grow. King Tzain at this point he's a huge presence, but I also feel like oh God, this sounds terrible, but I feel like he's written in a way where he embodies almost every villain who might have a little bit of a point, but is mostly maniacal and then gets high on their own supply, if that makes sense. He just seems very caricature-ish is what I'm going to say. And so we don't really see like a big character arc with him, because even though he looms very large in the story, we're not like on the ground and up close and personal with him very often. Whereas we are with the children, I'll call them, Amari, Inan, Zélie, and her brother Tzain. Okay. So when King Inan goes after the Magi after his wife is killed and after they do their uprising, it's called the Raid. And it's consistently referred to as that throughout the story. So he goes on a killing rampage, and he actually kills Zélie and Tzain's mother because she is also magic. So once Amari and Zélie decide that they're not going to fight, they're going to be friends. Like Amari finds refuge with Zélie and Tzain. They decide that they're going to go on a journey to restore magic to the land, using sacred relics, and they have to do it before the summer solstice. So there's a deadline. They got to do it. If they miss the deadline, they're basically starting from scratch. In the meantime, Inan is hunting them. But because his magic starts, and here's another thing. When an individual's magic becomes, I guess it develops, comes out, I'm not sure the right terminology to use, their hair turns white. So Anan's hair starts turning white, and he's like, oh my God. So he's got to start shaving his head, right? But he's very caught, right? He's hunting his sister, but he's got his magic going on. He's caught between loyalty to his dad and his growing empathy with the plight of his people, which they are his people. Even without the magic that's developing in him, they are still his people as the crown prince. They're his country people, right? But what I really loved, so those are the people. the world that this takes place in. What I loved was I felt like the author in this. I mean, I wish I had the cover because it was so beautiful. I should have got a screenshot of it. Anyway, what I really loved about the way that Tomi Adeyemi did this book, the way she described it, is you can almost hear birds chirping. You can smell the sea salt in the air. You can almost feel yourself leaping from platform to platform, because the village where Zélie and Tzain come from is it's a coastal fishing village, but it's not maybe set up the way that we might think of it, where you have like like solid ground, and that's where most people live, and then they go out in their fishing boats. It's almost set up as like, I don't know, like I felt like it was like linking platforms. So like people would have their house on one platform and their boat there. Like, that's what it felt like to me. And I felt like it just, like you could see the smile on children's faces and hear their shouts of laughter, and hear people yelling good morning to each other, and doing their trade, and their being merchants. And it was so well written that I really felt like I was there. Like I was just kind of standing there watching the action kind of happen. And that takes a special author to create that. Likewise, she does a great job with describing the cold, impersonal nature of the palace. It's marble, it's stone, it's echoey. It could be hot and humid outside, but it's cool inside. The severity with which the king deals with people is very well done, but also the rules of the world in which all of this takes place. It's not modern. I would say, I guess if I had to put like a modern time parameter on it, it might be like 16th, 17th century, maybe. So, like there's, they have vehicles, meaning they have wagons with wheels, and they ride horses, and they can do all these things, but they don't have electricity. They don't have phones, right? Like it's none of that. It's really, so the village where Zélie and her brother come from is called Ilorin. I think I'm saying that right. Ilorin, Ilorin. It is a very tight-knit community, considered poor, and heavily taxed by the monarchy. It serves as kind of like a symbol of what was lost when magic disappeared, because diviners live there, magic people live there, but they have to be so closeted, for lack of a better word. They can't really they can't freely practice their magic, because the king always has patrols out, looking for magic people and then executing them. Zélie learns how to fight, like combat fight in the village. Anyway, so that's the plot. So it is very much a I don't know, what's the best way to describe it? Kind of like a road trip story, where they're constantly traveling and meeting different groups, and people are in secret, and all of this sort of thing. But again, the descriptions provided for these locations, like the lushness and the green of like into the forest, and I guess the jungle, for lack of a better word. You can feel the humidity. Likewise, when they step into cool clearings, you almost feel the cool breeze on your skin yourself. Like, it's so well done. Now, I think this is written for a YA audience, so young adults. So, but even still, it's not simple because of that. Like, I still really enjoyed the story. So the overall, so conflict and resolution. The overarching conflict is that King Saren is a tyrant, and he wants to kill anybody who's magical, right? Zélie, Amari, Tzain, and eventually Inan are on a quest to bring magic back. And so that's the overarching conflict and resolution. Now, we don't get a wholehearted resolution by the end of this book because it is the first in a series. But there are some shocking things that happen at the end of the book. And I guess I probably should have been like, this is not a spoiler-free thing, right? Inan ends up killing the king. It's horrible. Or does Amari? No, Amari kills him, I believe. Oh, see, it's been a while. Hang on. I'm going to look it up. Does Amari or Inan kill the king? Let's look it up. Boop, boop, boop. Okay, so Amari ends up killing her father because he attempts to kill Inan, her brother, for being magi, right? So there is this epic showdown at the temple. And King Tzain is actually... The way it's written is we don't really get a lot into his inner dialogue about how he feels about potentially killing his son. But in the end, he's like, I can't have magic. Like, I'm not going to do it. And if my son is magic, then he's got to die. And so he tries to murder Inan, and Amari ends up killing her father. Now, this has repercussions going forward into the other books, but I'm just going to, I read a little bit of the second book, but that's pretty much how the first book ends, is that's what happens. Inan then is, embracing his magic. And joins them. And because it turns out Amari is kind of a warrior princess, right? But anyway, so that's the overarching conflict and resolution. So even though the king does die at the end of book one, we're still not at a full resolution, because just because the king dies, well, now there's a power vacuum, right? So who's going to fill that power vacuum? And how do they bring the magic back and keep people safe, but not let the magic people overtake you? It's a whole thing. So that's in general that. Now, where I feel this book falls a little short is, you can see the plot twists coming, and I use twist very loosely. I could feel them coming 100 pages away. As soon as I found out that the queen was magic, I'm like, oh, the kids are magic. That's going to be a thing, right? That's absolutely going to be a thing. And it was. And, and you can just kind of see, there's going to be a betrayal. There's going to be, maybe a little bit of a love triangle. There's going to be these things. So all of those things happen. And I hate that I have to even be a little bit kind of a Debbie Downer about this, because everything else about this book is beautiful. And I really, really loved how Yoruba traditions and African and Yoruba magical realism was brought into this book in so many ways that makes it feel like it's just a natural part of the fabric of the story. Excuse me. So I really feel like all of that is amazing. It's just, and I was talking to my friend about it because she recommended it to me, and I read it, and I was like, yeah, it's good, but I felt like I could just feel the plot twist coming from a mile away. And I like to be surprised. I like to be surprised once in a while. And while I know that that's not necessary for a story to be good, I felt overall that this one detracted for me. I know plenty of people who have devoured this book multiple times, and I get it, because I would imagine I should probably reread it again as I'm saying this. You glean new details that you were reading, and maybe you were at a point where it's really, really good, because this does happen to me all the time, where I'm at a point in the book where it's good and I read super fast, and then I'm like, oh, hang on, I got to read that again because I didn't get all the details. So that happens to me all the time. That's great. That's what a good story should do. It should suck you in and take hold of you and make you like loath to put the book down, right? Like, those are amazing things. Now, having said all of that about the book and the plot twists and how I could see them coming and stuff, it is being made into a movie. And I'm excited about the movie. Will I go see it? Yes. Will I see it more than once? Probably also yes. And here's why. Number one, I'm always curious about how writers and directors, and then the actors a little bit further down the line, but how the writers and the directors adapt not just the characters, but the action and the locations and all of that. Like how do they translate that to this big screen, right? And then do the characters, the actors that they cast, are they physically, like their physical appearance, is it close to how the characters are described in the book? I always find that fascinating. Like, here's an example. Harry Potter. Okay, so they found Daniel Radcliffe, they put some glasses on him, and they put a little scar on his forehead. Ron Weasley, all the Weasleys with their red hair, yes. Did Hermione look like the Hermione in the book? No, because in the book, Hermione has super curly hair and slightly buck teeth that gets fixed with some magic, right? And the buck teeth actually play like a kind of a defining role for Hermione in the book to a certain extent, right? So I felt like Hermione was the only one. Now, is Emma Watson an amazing actress? Of course, and she did a great job. Anywho, that's what I'm saying. It's like, do the physical characteristics of the actor match the physical description of the character in the books? So that, I think, will be interesting. And also, look, I'm just going to talk to white readers and white viewers right now. Because traditional publishing houses have kept such a lid on what we can and cannot read. Now, I say that because, and with this being a traditionally published book by Henry Holt and Company, although I've never heard of that publisher, that means anything. It's a trademark of Macmillan Publishing. So one of the big ones, right? It is incumbent on us to search out non-white authors. We need to learn and experience and enjoy stories that are told from points of view other than Eurocentric experiences, right? We need to, I like to put my money where my mouth is as much as I can. And so I actively seek out authors who are not white. And the fact that Tomi Adeyemi is Nigerian, my kids are half Nigerian. So, I really wanted to read this also for that reason. But it is really incumbent on us as white people to search out non-white authors, and also then to go see films such as Children of Blood and Bone, which is made from a book by a Nigerian author and is going to have almost an entire, I would say, yes, a Black cast. We need to support those films. We need to go see these movies. We need to experience these cultures and mores and traditions from a wider lens, is what I will say. And for that, I really like this book. Again, plot twists were the only thing that I really had an issue with, is that I could just see them coming. But the pacing of the book was good. Again, descriptions. I cannot say strongly enough that this book has some of the best descriptions ever. So yeah, so that's what it is. And I really, again, I know, I wish I had the jacket cover, but here we are. Children of Blood and Bone, Tomi Adeyemi. This is Reaper, first book in the series. It is a bit of a long read. It has, hold on, this is the acknowledgements. 1 second. 523 pages. So, but it's worth it. Take the time, read the book. I hope it sticks with you. So, all right. Thank you for joining me again to talk about the elements of every great story as they apply to popular books, TV shows, things like that. I hope you have a great day. And if you do read this book, please, or if you've read the book and you're excited about the movie, leave comments. I really want to know what you think. Okay? I'll talk to you soon. Bye.